Attention quilters, attention quilters. It's so road time. Take it away, Matt.
Thanks, Randy. Good morning, everyone. Hi, Linda. Hi, Stevie. Linda, you are still muted, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah, we can't.
Oh, my
there
goodness.
You are.
He's starting already. He's muting me already.
Oh.
How are you? This is going to be an exciting episode today.
Oh, it should be. If we all survive without getting hit, it'll be a good one.
Yeah, well, I've prepared for that appropriately.
Now, Linda, do you actually know how to use the frying pan other than hitting Alan with it?
Yeah, I do.
You do?
Yeah, that's how I make my gourmet hamburger helper.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you have somebody watching.
Hi, Sarah. That's our daughter, Sarah. And we got
Hi, Connie.
on.
So, Linda, what's the weather like out there?
So far right now it is sunny and cloudy, but we're expecting some storms later on. It's that time, and it looks sunny out there.
It is. Well, we had a monsoonal flow this morning, is what they called it. It was cloudy, and it's supposed to be like 98 today. So, but it's a dry heat. Well, it's supposed to be, right?
Yeah. And what are you doing in Virginia there, Stevie?
Oh, well, Randy's going to tell you because, he's the science guy, so he knows more than I do about the weather.
It's a San Diego day here. Bright blue sky, 75 degrees, a few breezes, and a few clouds. It's wonderful. It's the only day of the year.
Cool.
So,
Yeah,
Linda, have we ran out of friends?
Well, maybe.
Who are our guests today?
Yeah, I guess we ran out of volunteers who are willing to come on and chat with us. But we have three fabulous volunteers that'll probably give you more information than you need to know.
Yep. So this is my wife, Jennifer.
Hi, guys.
And this is my husband, Randy.
And this is my husband, Alan.
So there you go. We have three guests. We have some great questions that were brought to you by some people who have very interesting questions to ask. So Jillian behind the scenes is actually going to be the one asking the questions. The spouses don't know the questions in advance. Actually, the only people who've read the questions are me and Jillian. So it should be quite an interesting episode today. Let's get started.
All right. So the first question is actually for Matt, Stevie, and Linda. And this question is actually word for word verbatim. I'm not paraphrasing it at all. We'll go. Really? Is this the best guest you could come up with? Are you running out of people to cajole, con, and bully into being guests? I picture you sitting on a Zoom meeting and saying, okay, who can we get as guests that can't say no? I mean, after a year of quarantine, nobody wants to listen to their spouse.
Gee, I wonder whose question that would have been.
Where was the question?
What? I'm still wondering where the question was.
Really
at.
was the question.
Oh, really?
Really? Oh, that was the question. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we thought it'd be interesting for all of you to hear what it's like to live with us.
Yes.
Not exactly sure how entertaining it's going to be, but I know there's some great questions in there. So let's see here. We've got some comments. And Barbara asked what it would be like to work with Linda. I bet we have a question coming up about that. And good luck, Mom. Yes, good luck. This is going to get very interesting very quickly.
That first question was from Stevie's brother, Brian, and he actually gave us 7 questions to start off with. We're going to go into that.
What, does he have a job?
Well, he's retired from what I understand, and he said that he didn't want to have to create a fake email address to put the questions he really wanted to ask in. So these are the censored questions, and Lord help us if we ever got the other ones he'd been thinking about.
Maybe he needs to go get a job.
He worked for FEMA. I don't think he wants his job back.
The first question is, tell us about your fondest Road to California memory. And we'll start with Jen, and then we'll go to Randy, and then Alan can tell us about his favorite memory of being on the road with Linda.
Oh, favorite memory. Well, I think it's the one everybody was there for when you proposed.
Yeah, you were not happy about that.
Well, I was. I just didn't want that many people around.
She didn't say no.
I didn't say no.
She didn't say no, but she didn't say yes.
Yes, I did.
Nobody heard you say yes.
Nobody heard me
We'll
say
get
yes.
into
I did
this
say
because
yes.
there is a question later on about this, so we'll get a little bit more into detail on this a little bit later.
But yes, that has to be my fondest memory. Is definitely proposing on the floor.
Ready for me?
Yes, go for it.
My favorite memory is picking up the tent makers of Cairo, going to the halal grocery, and then going back, and Matt and I had lunch with them, and it was a great lunch those guys cooked.
Well, that was a cool experience. That they didn't tell us they were going to do that. And remember, we went and they had that hot food section, and we couldn't figure out what in the world they were doing because their English wasn't all that great. And so they bought all this food, and we had told they just eat apples and cheese on the road. And we went through there, and these guys had enough food to feed like a family of 4 for 2 weeks. And
it was good.
it was good. It was fantastic. It was one of those things you'll never forget.
So that's my favorite memory.
All right, Alan, what's your favorite memory of traveling for quilting with Linda?
My favorite memory? Oh, good Lord. Probably the day she brought home a long arm machine. Yeah, she came home from a show and she said, I got a sewing machine and I want you to fix up the den a little bit. And so we did some work in the house and we made her a studio in the den. And then this 12-foot by 4 piece of equipment came into the house, and somehow she lived.
That's great. But you know how to use that machine now, don't you, Alan?
Yes, believe it or not, yes.
Yeah.
I've done some tops. I haven't done anything else with it, really.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, the next question, and I'm confused on what he was meaning by it, but maybe Stevie can help us decipher Brian's words. But tell us the best and worst thing about being a Road to California widow/widower.
I get it.
Meaning that I'm not home.
So there's a little background that Brian doesn't know on this. When I bought the show, after the paperwork was signed, my grandmother said, "Good luck. The show's a divorce maker." And I think that the comment, the clue to that was the amount of time, and you know, it's not a job that there's a lot of travel to. Like I think I do on a normal year, no more than 3 trips a year, if that. And then they're fairly short. Most of them are like 2 days. Every once in a while, it's a week, but it's pretty short. But when it's the show, typically I am gone it's not just the week of the show that people would think. Starting about the end of December, I start coming in about 4 in the morning, and I don't get home till 5 in the evening. And we do that all the way clear up to the show. And then the week before the show, you hardly see me. And then the week of the show, you don't see me.
She has to
Unless
come
I'm
to
there.
Unless you're
Unless I'm
there, you just don't see me. I'm down there, and this year will be even worse. With the ISAF show we're doing the week before, I'll be in the hotel for 14 or 15 nights.
Wow.
And I will probably sneak home, depending on if the kids aren't there. I'll probably sneak home and sleep a couple of nights in my own bed. But if the kids are there, I'll stay at the hotel just because nobody wants to be around me if I don't get any sleep.
Well, and you're leaving at 4 a.m. We don't want to be.
Right? Yeah, I'll wait. The dog gets up and gets all excited, and then everyone wakes up from that. So I think that's the answer to that question. Wouldn't you say? I think that's probably the biggest clue. The amount of time that we're gone
Right.
or stuck on phone calls dealing with craziness.
Yeah, because even when I'm at the show, we don't really see each other very much because we're all
No.
working in different spots.
No, nobody wants to come into my office. It's like a bear's den. You go in there and something bad's probably going to happen. So everyone pretty much stays clear.
Grab snacks and leave.
There's not going to be any snacks this year too.
No.
Budget cuts.
Yeah. But in the past couple of years, I have been seeing your oldest son, Braden.
Yes.
So I get to see him on the day that Jen is helping her mom hang quilts. Last year, all he wanted to do was go up and down the escalator. We did that 54 times. I know, I counted. And the people at the bottom of the escalator were laughing hysterically because here we come. And then he'd say, other one, meaning he wanted to go up. We get to the top. Other one, go down.
Are
You
you
got
ready?
two more to
Are
do.
you ready for two more?
That's going to be a circus.
Oh
It already is.
yeah, there's not a quiet time in that house.
Yes.
All right. This is for all three of you. But do you ever wish your spouse had a different pastime than dealing with this show? Maybe demolition derby or raising poisonous
Ooh.
tree frogs?
Do you wish
No.
you had a different hobby?
Definitely no to the poisonous tree frogs.
Come on.
It could actually be worse.
Yeah.
It could be worse.
This is a good
take the call.
hobby for Stevie. She goes upstairs and disappears and sews all evening, so it's nice and quiet when I watch
Whoa,
TV.
she's not sewing for me. Let's get that one straight.
Oh, you don't know. There may be a box coming to your house.
Oh, really? Ooh,
Oh, that's
I like
not for you,
boxes.
though.
Braden loves the mail.
Yeah.
Anytime he gets so excited.
Oh, especially Amazon lately.
What do you have to say, Alan?
Nothing.
Nothing.
You don't wish I had a different hobby?
No. You're fine the way you do. I don't want any more surprises. I know let's just let it be. Let's run with it.
But Alan, you help her, don't you? Don't you do the packing and the shipping and all that stuff?
Yep. That's
Yeah.
good. It's all right. There's a little bit of a story with that. I was a volunteer fireman for over 20 years, and her and Sarah would come to the firehouse and, make sure the guys were dressed properly for special events and things like that. And they put up with the running out of the house on Christmas morning, and, birthdays were missed and holidays were missed. So when she started quilting, I thought it was a good way to pay her back and, just support her, and because she supported me all those years. And it's just taking a little bit longer than I thought it would, but we're okay with it.
Yeah. Well, quilters around the world, thank you for what you're doing for
Oh, yes.
shipping and everything.
All right, Jillian.
Okay, this one's specifically for Randy.
Oh, geez.
Randy, is it true the letter S in the word engineer stands for sexy?
No.
The letter S?
I didn't know that.
Oh, Alan, you have a fan group. Look at this.
It's what's that saying? Last week I couldn't spell engineer and now I are one.
That's me.
Yeah, I read that question and I go, there's not an S in engineer. Oh, I get it. Took it just a little while on that one.
I may have pointed that out too.
Yeah, I think it took a long while to figure that one out.
Okay, this is for all three of you. What percentage of your house is devoted to quilts, material, and miscellaneous quilt stuff?
Oh my God.
I think you have the easiest time answering this one.
Not much. We have quilts hanging, but there's no dedicated
Well, the quilt
Craft
chest
room.
is full,
quilt chest is full. Yeah.
but you normally shove most of your quilting stuff down here. The sewing machine's here. There's some stuff down here.
No, we have one at home.
Oh, you do? Oh,
I have,
see,
I have
that's
a machine at home.
my actually. Truth be told, my tubas take up more room than her sewing stuff.
That is true.
From back in the day, those instruments take up an entire closet all on their own.
That is true.
Only one?
Oh no, I have
No, it kind of spills out
I
of
have
the closet.
two. I have professional tubas. They're quite large. I have two of them. They're the pro ones. I have a bass trombone. I have. Oh gosh, I don't even want to list it all. I've got tons and tons and tons of musical
The
crap in
berries
there.
or-
Yep.
And Randy just took his shoes off so he could count the number of rooms in our house.
Well, in our house, about 50% of the rooms in our house are taken up with quilting related items. We have one large room downstairs where we had to put it on the first floor because it was so heavy. Stevie has over 5,000 pounds of stash. And the reason I know, when we moved from San Diego, we were weighing the packaging as it went into the pods. I ended up having to call the pods company and saying, how much can a pod stand? Because you're going to pick it up. And we had,
Whoops.
my youngest son and I calculated that we had 5,400 pounds of material, quilting material, in the pods, and the other 22,000 pounds was other stuff.
Well, Alan, you moved a stash down to Florida, didn't you?
Yeah. By myself while she was at a quilt show. It was a whole pod by itself, just her studio and miscellaneous fabrics, et cetera, et cetera. We got rid of the long arm machine before coming down here, so that didn't take up too much room. But the house itself, we've got a room dedicated to a studio, a couple closets, a third of the garage dedicated to the shipping department. And except on shipping days, when she's shipping to a quilt show, it could be about 50% of the house with stuff thrown all over the place. I don't know where you want to go with that.
But what he's not telling you, no, he's not telling you. Because I was traveling when we were packing the pod. You know, I'd be home a little bit and I'd do some boxes. When he labeled the boxes like normal people that say maybe kitchen, bedroom, he labeled all my boxes. I probably get censored. Linda's shit 1, Linda's shit 2. And we knew what room it was going in. We just didn't know what was in.
Minor details. I'm sorry.
That sounds like you're packing.
It does.
It happens when you leave me by myself.
Next.
Okay.
Next question.
Compare and contrast the Road to California show versus a Grateful Dead tour. In particular, comment on attendees' personal hygiene, grouping quality and quantity, as well as substance abuse trends.
I'm passing on this one.
I didn't get that. Compare a quilt show to a Grateful Dead concert.
Yeah.
Insofar as
I've never been to a Grateful Dead concert, but I stayed in a hotel in Hampton, Virginia one time when the Grateful Dead was there and had to ride the elevator up and down with barefoot people dressed like street people you see in D.C., but I can't compare them. I don't think we have anybody at Road that looks like Grateful Dead fans.
Well,
Maybe a few of the guys that moved the
people
equipment.
was a concert in Englishtown one year,
Yeah.
and your brother-in-law was shooting at him. But
Yeah,
other
my
than that-
brother-in-law was sitting on across the driveway with a BB gun coming down the road, and he was out on horseback around the property, and we had BB guns to keep people off because they were doing all kinds of things in the woods.
Well, we don't usually allow guns at Road to California.
Oh no, there's a big sign on the door about that. It was kind of interesting. I noticed that a couple of years ago. When you go to Texas, they're everywhere, right? And we came here, and I looked up and I go, "What's all that like little text above the door?" And it's no knives, no guns, no this, no that. The California, civil code and blah blah blah. Like, wow, that's new. So there must be a story behind that. Maybe we can get someone from the convention center on to explain the story behind that.
So we got.
There was the one year that we had this vendor who I will not say their name, but they were certifiably crazy, and they moved out. And we get this call from the convention center that there was a magazine for a 44 Magnum found in the booth, fully loaded. And the vendor was crazy. And they said, "What do you want us to do with it?" And I said, "Turn it into the cops, and if they come looking for it, you better call for backup."
And they didn't come back the next year.
Oh, they weren't asked back the next year. If you have your gun, I don't want to see it. And, that code on the door, yeah, you're responsible for that one.
Yeah.
All right. Which is more colorful, quilts or the people that make them?
What was it?
Who's more colorful? Quilts are the people that make them. People that make them.
No, quilts are more colorful.
I disagree. I think it's the people that make them. I still remember one of the first times I ever went with Stevie to a quilt class she was taking, and I looked at all those people and the crazy way they dressed, and I'm going, "Holy mackerel, these people are all nuts. Put a fence around this place."
That comes from a Washington, D.C. bureaucrat. Everybody wears black and gray suits. And this was probably in San Diego.
I have no comments.
I love the people.
Oh, the
that
quilters
out
are a great bunch. I love them to death. I wouldn't be here if I didn't.
Well, and our
so.
teachers and stuff. There's just so many people from all sorts of backgrounds and all over the U.S. and
They have great
different
stories
countries.
too.
It's wonderful meeting them.
Everyone has a story as to how they ended up here.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I often work for the Bowen Company, which is French-owned, Bowen, France. And the owners loved the fact that women would come to road shows dressed alike. He said you would never see people dressed like you see in the United States, and they're all having so much fun. So,
Yep.
yeah.
All right, Jillian.
We're moving on from Brian's questions now to some questions from some roadies. So we're getting past the fun questions. But the first one's from Cynthia, and she says, who does the driving when you're out on the road to California? In what and why?
We don't have to commute very far. So
No, but if we're driving anywhere, I drive.
you drive.
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, I drive.
Yeah, I'd rather be.
Well, in our case, Matt drives.
Yeah.
That's true. We borrow our car.
Yeah, well, we had a problem with that this
Oh, we do
year.
have a
yeah,
problem
we
with
had a problem with
that
that
this
this year.
But
my
normally, if we're on a trip, I drive.
I drive.
Nope, I'm navigator.
I don't know, Linda. You're from Jersey. I don't think I'd be in the car with you driving.
Not on the turnpike.
God, no. See, he's laughing. He knows.
I didn't say anything.
No, but the laughing was enough.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Now she's going to want to hit me with the frying pan.
Just say the word. I'm right here.
Ugh.
All right. For the spouses, have you ever made a quilt And did your spouse help you make it?
There you go.
What's the question?
Have you ever made a quilt?
Oh, yes.
Now, I think Alan had a quilt in or two in a book even.
This was, I got pressed into service once. I need help. I need to make 10 quilts or something, and I have no helpers anymore. And I got pressed into service, and she says, "This is how you turn the machine on. This is how you sew a straight line. Have at it." I got done. And I
There
got
it
done.
is.
Oh,
Look at that. I couldn't do that.
Now, somehow, when they took the pictures, the beer stains and the potato chip marks came out. I didn't burn it with the cigar because I wasn't allowed to smoke in there when I was doing it, but it did come out too bad. Photoshop does a great job.
Alan, I'm impressed. I've never made a quilt.
Yeah, but you used to sew sailboat sails, didn't you,
Oh,
Randy?
yeah, I owned a sail making company and used to have a sail loft in our first house, the second house we owned. And I made lots of sails, made a good bit of money too. But it fed my sailboat racing in those days. But no quilts.
I haven't helped you make a quilt. I've helped you design a quilt.
yes.
Yep.
Yes.
But nope. I haven't helped.
You started one yourself, though. You haven't worked on it in a while.
Oh yeah, that I don't even know if that thing even still is all put together.
Where is it?
Bertha?
She's on the cabinet.
Bertha's on the
Bertha's in the
cabinet in the other room.
Bertha's his cow.
I started a cow for stress relief. You know, when none of the
Almost 2 years now.
yeah, it's been 2 years ago. And I won the peel and stick things, and I got the head done, and I made it out of Kaufman solids in super ultra brights. It was like a cow went on acid, and I couldn't finish. I couldn't figure out how to finish it because the colors were just so much. And yeah, no, we're good. We'll get back to Bertha. Bertha needs some loving. We'll get back to Bertha soon.
All right. So for everyone, what do you do when Road to California is going on and you're not actually working at the show? And for Alan, what do you do when Linda's on the road?
What do I do when Linda's on the road? What goes on in this house when she's on the road stays in this house. Might include sitting in my chair in my underwear, watching a baseball game, drinking a beer. And I tell her I'm working hard. So you can like that. Picture that.
You're a liar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Randy wouldn't know because he's always coming to Road to California with me. And he does the public announcing. And the reason he does that is because Matt and I would sit in the office and we'd look at our watch and we'd say, "Oh, that lecture started 10 minutes ago. We should have announced that." And Randy doesn't forget. He makes a schedule every morning and he sets timers on his watch. So
it's fantastic.
Well,
yeah.
it's fun, especially making the announcement, running downstairs, and then introducing the speakers, especially the speakers who carry two knives with them. That got interesting.
Well, you do the raffles too, and that's probably one of the best parts of the day.
Oh, that's the fun part of really fun part of Road is doing the raffles and watching those.
Randy's
folks get very excited.
Oh, they come running.
Randy's most important job though hasn't been mentioned.
Uh-oh.
Randy does a really good job of making me laugh.
Oh.
Unintentionally.
Yes. So what do you do? Because you're not at the show quite a bit.
I'm not at the show. I don't come to the show until late afternoons because I'm teaching all day. I'm working, so teaching and then going home taking care of the babies and then running over if I can.
Yep.
So my days are long.
My days are longer.
All right. This question
Jen, you need to tell us what you teach.
Oh, I teach math, 8th grade.
Oh,
And yeah, see, that's the reaction I get.
Yeah.
Is that algebra?
Algebra, geometry, statistics,
That's
and linear algebra.
Oh my God.
Oh, fun stuff.
Yup. It is fun stuff. This year, can't say it was super, super fun, but I'm very proud of my kids. They rose to every challenge, and there were quite a few.
Great.
all right, Jillian.
Okay, this question is from Denise. Were you involved in the quilting community before you met your spouse?
No, I wasn't.
No,
I sewed a little here and there, but no, not at all.
yeah. Well, Stevie's got a great story about how she got into quilting. You ought to ask her to tell that story.
Well, I guess I have to now. I went to an organizational meeting in Hampton, Virginia. They were organizing a group of needle workers, the Golden Thimbles group. And at the time, I was doing some crewel work and needlepoint embroidery. And across the room, I saw this group of ladies, and they were laughing hysterically. And I'm thinking, I wonder what that group does. So I went over there, and they were the quilters. So I always say it was the laughter and the camaraderie that brought me into quilting. So, and
True story.
and it is continued. There is a lot of laughs, a lot of work, but a lot of laughs, and certainly a lot of camaraderie.
And when the new Hampton City Hall building was opened, the mayor spoke, and the other person speaking at the opening was Stevie, by the way, who presented the city with a quilt.
Yeah. Back in my younger days. It's probably an old building now.
Oh, they've already torn it down and built a new one.
Probably.
All right. So for all three of you, what is your favorite part about a quilt show?
Carrying the bag.
Is this the bag of money?
He's an excellent bag schlepper.
Yep.
Outside of my official duties, I'd say looking at the quilts, particularly the winners. Inside of my official duties, the best part of the show is introducing all the crazy speakers.
There's a time before anybody gets there, the place is empty and it's just quilts and it's silent, and being able to walk through and look at the quilts completely by myself in peace is probably one of my favorites. Either right before it opens or right after it closes, and it's quiet. But then also everybody in the front hall lined up, and the energy and anticipation when we open the doors for the first time for like preview night. That's probably one of my absolute favorite times.
I don't know. My favorite time is walking into the hall after everything's been torn down, everything's packed up, everything's been shipped away, and it's silent, and it's like nothing
Ever happened?
ever happened. It is unbelievable to walk through there. Everything's been torn down, and you go, what in the heck did I just spend the last year on? It's already gone.
Yeah.
And we start all over.
Yes, Dorothy.
Well, I think I like the energy that comes from the quilters as you're doing a lecture or you're doing classes, that they can do something that they didn't think they could do, and just the lecture, how much they enjoy the quilts and just the whole atmosphere. I get energy from them.
That's a true teacher answer right there. That's the same thing I get from my students. That you live for that.
You do.
All right, so this is a question that Jill just posted in our comments. If quilting and fabric is your spouse's passion, what is yours?
Is quilting?
All right, I'll start. Mine is summertime. It's golf. The wintertime, it's probably machining. I do a lot of metal machining in my workshop.
So, Alan, how about you?
Yeah, I'm into sports. Like watching it on TV. That's about it.
Your spouse's passion should be me.
Well, Alan, you're a golfer too, right? And you're
because your spouse's passion. What is yours?
What is your passion? You should
Sports.
get the frying
Loved
pan.
it.
Nat, Nat.
Jen, I'm not so sure you have time to have any hobbies or anything else.
Between teaching and family, yeah, those are the two passions right there. Teaching and family.
Yeah.
Jen might have a
Okay,
boat
so this-
seat.
Mm-hmm.
This next question is from Connie. What would you rather be doing right now?
Well, I have to admit, I might have promised her to take her out to lunch if she showed up.
That doesn't happen very often, so it was a good poll.
What would you rather be doing right now?
Well, before this started, I thought cleaning out the septic tank would have been pretty good, but it wasn't as painful as I thought, so I'm okay with it.
All right,
The questions have been tame.
if I weren't sitting here, I'd be cutting the grass.
Which because
That's a
of
good
the
day
rain
for
that we
it.
have,
We got a jungle in the front yard because it's rained so much lately. I haven't been able to cut it.
Ah,
so
all right, Jillian.
Okay, these next two questions are for Alan specifically.
Uh-oh.
This one's from Connie as well. Some have said you are a really hard worker. Is that true?
Who's a hard worker?
You.
Me?
Yeah.
It's a sweatshop over here. Where are you going with this? You make me work for beer and cookies.
and meatballs.
Well,
Okay, and the next question is, who is known as Pool Boy? What does she mean by Pool Boy? Can you explain that, Alan?
what is it?
What's a pool boy? What did I call you my pool boy?
For some reason, when she bought the house, she didn't get the little Caribbean guy to stay. So I go out there and I schlep wine out there and for her and, push her around in the pool. It's not deep enough to drown her yet, but deep enough.
Better watch out
All right,
for
we're
that.
moving on. All right, so the next two questions are for Jen.
Oh no.
The first question, what was your reaction when Matt proposed on the show floor?
Initial reaction was, oh God, he's not doing it here, is he? Oh no, stop. Too many people.
Now, I will say this. She had asked me. She knew I was going to propose at some point in time. She had asked me, please don't make it public. So
Don't do it at somewhere like Disneyland with 1,000 people around. So he chose the road floor at lunchtime with 5,000 people around.
With the microphone.
With-
oh yeah, with the microphone,
with the
the blast, the
microphone.
whole building
The whole
was
building heard.
fantastic.
And then that year, the next year, every year after, I always have somebody coming up going, I was there when he proposed, which I love, but it's also like, oh.
The convention center wanted to do the wedding
Yes.
during the quilt show, and that's where she drew the line.
Yeah, that was
Said it would have been a tax write-off.
Yeah. Then I got over that and I was like, oh my gosh, wow. Yes, definitely. Yes. And then I cried.
All right. What is the hardest part about preparing road contest quilts for hanging?
So real quick, most people don't know, Jen and her mother, Debbie, planned the contest show floor. So they plan where each quilt's going to be hung. That's something new we started
A couple years ago.
That they actually knew in advance where each quilt was going to be on the show floor for the most part prior to when we actually would hang the quilts. So there's the preface to that.
So we do that beforehand, usually in about November when I'm on Thanksgiving break. And then I unpack all the quilts. We refold them. We get them ready for judging. Stevie takes over judging. And then when she's done, then my mom takes over and does all the hanging. And then in the afternoon, I come after work and help her with that. The hardest part of all of that, it's all difficult. When we get the quilts designed in the layout of the show, Matt tells me, you have this much space, make it work. And depending on the size of quilts that we get, some years we have a lot of very large quilts, it makes it difficult to give everybody the amount of room that they're not on top of each other, so that everybody has a nice focused area. So to go from something 2D to something 3D, there's a lot of adjustments that have to take place with that.
I was looking, we had a picture of you and your mom and Lizzie planning on the floor, planning the quilt thing. I was trying to find it and I couldn't find it.
Instagram.
It's on Instagram. Okay, well, we'll find it. We'll throw it in the comments. It's kind of funny. The Lizzie the dog is actually helping the two of them place the different things. She'll even find it later. We got to keep going. You've got the questions. I don't.
Okay, so the next question is for Jen again.
Ooh, another one for you.
Oh, actually, I just read that, but going off that, what is the part that's the hardest when we're taking quilts from judging to photography to hanging?
Oh goodness, keeping track of everything, making sure we take quilt security very, very seriously. So we want to make sure that wherever we are with quilts, it is locked down, that somebody's with them at all times. And so keeping track of what is leaving one location and going to another, and then what's coming back. It's just a lot of logistics. And, we want to have an eye on everything at all times. And there's a lot going on because walls are being built at the same time as things moving around. So
it used to be a little less chaotic when we would hang them in the show floor area, but because they would be just walked across the hallway into the exhibit halls.
But we didn't like that either because
but then you were moving from one hall to the other. So now with them in the ballroom, it's a little different. Now, Jill, I've got to address this because every year someone complains about the rods. So Jill said there's never enough of the right size hanging rods. We run out of the small ones first. Not always.
We've run out of the big ones.
So what happens? It depends on the size of quilt. So if you have an exhibit with a bunch of, let's say, 24 by 24 inch quilts, they will hang 4 of those on a 10-foot pole. And then all of a sudden, you don't have a 10-foot pole to hang the 8-foot wide quilt on. So it's kind of a give and take thing. Sometimes it depends on who's doing the hanging. It depends on what quilts we have. It depends a lot on the special exhibits because we like to hang 4 quilts on a rod for special exhibits. It goes up much quicker. It comes down much quicker. It's easier to hang. It's easier to level. Yeah. It's sturdier. It just all depends. I mean, we have the materials to cut the 10-footers down, but the problem is once you cut them down the next year, they want more 10-footers.
Yeah.
So we've been building up inventory. We bought another 100 10-foot poles for the 2020 show. So I mean, we've got.
Well, and it changes year by year. One year we'll have a lot of little quilts, and then the next year we have a ton of big quilts, and then it's hard to decide which way it's gonna.
It'll be really cool to see after the pandemic what people are actually making to see the size of these things because I bet we're gonna get some massive ones.
All right, we're moving on to Randy.
Nope.
Randy, what is it like to work for NASA?
Work for Matt?
NASA.
Oh, for NASA. It's so. I guess my hearing aid batteries need replacing. Sorry about that. Working for NASA, I could just sum it up as it's the only place you can work that's fun and you get paid too. It was great. Can't say enough positive things about my 26 years at NASA. starting out in the early years when I got to launch my own 4-stage rocket from Wallops Island to do the first severe entry flight test of the Apollo heat shield material. Great memories.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah, and Stevie always kicks me on the table when I start talking because I can talk for hours on all the different projects that I worked on.
Where's the frying pan?
Yeah.
Well, Randy was nice enough to give us a tour of the space shuttle when we were back in DC.
Oh, the
That was
best,
amazing.
the best Washington D.C. tour guide that money can buy is Randy Graves. Is
Look
he
me up.
gave us a tour at
Air and
of-
Space Museum.
of Air and Space and just of downtown. That was just fantastic.
Yeah, it's lots of fun taking new people around DC because it is a spectacular town, except at night.
All right, Randy. Next question is, what is the most interesting part of being the voice of Road to California?
Probably announcing the raffle winners because that is so much fun. It's so rewarding seeing some of these people get so excited about winning a sewing machine, and we've had some odd winners too. We were giving away a Husqvarna machine a few years ago, and the winner was from Sweden. So we ended up not shipping the Husqvarna back to Sweden, but arranged for her to pick up hers in Sweden.
Wonderful.
All right. So we actually have that photo from earlier of Jen and her mom working on the quilts with Lizzie helping.
She was an integral part of that year. Couldn't have done it without Liz.
So here's the Instagram photo. It's a couple years old, and it's them working on their floor at home with the photos. So they get printouts of the photos, right?
We get printouts of all the photos. Try to do it in color because it makes it a lot easier. And we break it down by category, and then we take a look at the sizes and what booth sizes we've got. And so sometimes we have a 10-foot bay, and sometimes we have a 40-foot bay, and it just depends.
And you see that the ones on top of each other,
That's
those
where
are
I
actually
stack up.
quilts that are going to be double hung.
Yeah.
So they actually arrange them within category based on what works well, size and aesthetic.
But it's hard because we don't know. Judging hasn't taken place yet, so we don't know who's going to win and what quilts may be pulled out to go to winner's row. And so we have to adjust on the fly, but we kind of get a rough idea of what each bay is going to look like and try to, not dominate too much color on one side versus another and try to make it as aesthetically pleasing as we can. So it takes a little bit of time to do that.
All right. So the next set of questions are couple questions.
Uh-oh.
So they're both you guys to talk about and work on together. The first one, what has been your favorite trip you have taken together? Did it involve quilting?
Our favorite trip we took together, does it involve quilting? Okay, that's a no.
The Baltic Cruise.
Oh, I would say that would probably be.
Mhm.
I'll say no.
I would probably say the Baltic cruise we did. That was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun, and it did involve quilting.
It
sort
was-
of.
it was a
It was
quilting
our
cruise.
quilting cruise.
And Jen, I surprised Jen, and I used some credit card points to upgrade our flight over there, and she cried all the way over there.
It was our first time away from Braden, first true overnight trip away from Braden, and it was going to be for 14 nights. So yeah, I cried
All the way over
all the
there.
way on.
Here
the
we
flight.
are, the gorgeous lie flat airplane seats, and she's crying all the way over there.
From what we can remember, we think it was Grand Turk.
We cruised.
Oh, nice.
Mm.
Yeah, there was a slight incident where we spent the day in the pool bar, and we couldn't find the boat getting back. Even though we could see it, we couldn't find it.
You couldn't find. I knew where I was going.
Sounds like us in Helsinki.
It didn't help me.
No,
Well,
bored.
Yeah, for Stevie
All
and I, it likewise is the Baltic trip, and I think the highlight for me certainly was the 2 days we spent in St. Petersburg. I'll go back to St. Petersburg anytime. What a magnificent place, interesting place too.
We did not have enough time there.
No.
We could
not
have
near
spent
enough.
a week on its own.
Right. And Jen is a great tour
Yes.
guide. She was
Yes.
reading the tour book as the rest of us were trying to slog up the hills. We didn't have the breath to be reading out loud, but Jen did. And actually, I think having the four of us together was another
It was
really
fun.
special part of
Yeah.
that.
Oh, that was a lot of fun.
Great.
And I was teaching quilting on that one. Yes.
Yeah.
So we know when Matt and Stevie travel together, they like to eat a lot. So what are your favorite restaurants when the show is going on?
Something
Brazilian
that cooks
steakhouse is
best.
probably during when road is going on.
During road.
Well, there will be a Brazilian steakhouse next year,
That is
Stevie, so we'll have to hit that up.
Yes. I don't know. We go to that Chinese place, right?
Oh, Panda Inn.
Yeah.
Panda
And-
Inn is from the developed Panda Inn. Panda Express, which everyone knows, was developed out of Panda Inn. So the Panda Inn restaurants that are around Southern California, they're very special restaurants, and they have fantastic Chinese food.
Yes.
Yes.
Walnut.
Yeah.
I don't get
Walnut
they
shrimp.
work me too hard.
Yeah. Actually, my favorite before road starts, when Randy and I are out there for a couple of days helping the pre-show activities, is the Reubens from the Hat.
Oh.
Oh, the pastrami sandwiches are
Yeah, the
good.
pastrami. Yeah.
You're gonna see the food that comes out of
I
my
was gonna say we
kitchen.
cook. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Oh yes, well Matt's a great cook. Is an excellent cook. Jen's good too. But
Thanks.
no, you are good. Yeah. Yes, but
So,
Matt and I
what
do like to
hobby-
eat around the country, and we usually post things saying, Matt and Stevie eat St. Louis or wherever we are.
You guys
Yeah.
find some.
oh, I get on the internet and I find some awesome places.
The most interesting place Matt ever took me, though, was the Insane Asylum Museum in Kansas City.
St. Joseph, Missouri. I'll tell you, that place was interesting.
Yes.
And Stevie bought me a hat that says State Asylum number 2. And when I wear it, people look at me kind of funny.
Yeah. Okay, Jillian,
Okay.
you have any
So
more?
what? Yes, we do. What hobby do you enjoy doing together, or do you have a hobby you like more that's done separately?
Do we even have time for our hobbies?
Not right now.
Yeah, no. We don't have hobbies.
Fixing up the backyard.
Yeah, but we're almost done with that, thank God.
You know, like,
Randy is saying cruising is our thing we like to do together. I didn't think we did anything together, but been married too long.
All right, Julie, next one.
Now if I go to Zumba.
Ah, there you go.
All right. Do you guys have any pets?
Well, you've seen our dog, Lizzie. She's
Oh,
a
yeah.
basset hound. She's the pre-baby baby, which means she does not get along well with the babies at all.
She's the original.
Yeah, she remembers time when it was just the three of us.
you and Nancy
So that's Lizzie.
are free.
No, they say that the mark of freedom is when the last kid leaves home and the dog dies. Well, that's where we live.
Oh,
There we are.
Linda, do you have any
Linda,
pets?
Linda has pet geckos.
Oh, geckos, yeah.
Oh, those I'm getting them. We won't have any soon. They just find our air conditioner.
Oh, that's right. They have one in the air conditioner.
$500 bill.
They're better than iguanas.
Or copperheads in your phone lines.
That's
yes.
I got a better shot at catching the iguana. They're a little bit bigger. Those geckos, they're pretty quick.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so how many children or grandchildren do you have?
Well, we have 3
Yep.
kids,
We
not
got one.
grandkids.
Oh boy, we have grandkids already?
No, we don't.
Oh, gosh, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, we have one.
For us, we have 3 children and 4 grandkids.
I don't, yeah, okay.
There's some I don't know about.
You know, DNA testing, you never know what's coming up.
So we're reaching the end of our questions. If anyone has any left, they can say them in the comments. But if we talked about a lot of different things, but is there something we didn't talk about that maybe we should know about?
Do you have any secrets? I have nothing.
Maybe something you do that we haven't talked about?
No!
No, we live a relatively boring life. Work and home, that's about it.
Yep, that's about the way we are at this point.
Yeah, after 55 years of marriage, that's about it.
Is that how long it's been?
Yeah.
Sure.
I thought it was longer than that. What
Seems a
anniversary
lot
were they
longer.
celebrating the wedding? I don't remember.
I
Oh.
found out about.
Yeah, I'm like a hound dog when I'm looking.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're going to let Linda go here. And Stevie has a product review. Thank you, Alan, for joining us.
Yes.
It was a blast. It will be great to have you out here in January. And Stevie, I think you have a product review.
Yes, I do. Okay. Today I am doing a product review on this book, Petal Plus Stem, 40 Modern Floral Quilt Blocks to Mix and Match by Amy Friend, who was a recent guest on It's So Road. These quilts or these blocks are all paper pieced, but in the layout is very, very modern. These are not your grandmother's floral quilts, especially if your grandmother happened to live in Baltimore, because they are more of a stylistic flowers and leaves than they are realistic. But the interesting thing about the book is that Amy has given you 40 different flowers, stems, and leaves that you can combine the way you want to. It's almost like a Chinese menu. Take one from column B, one from column A, one from column C, and then you put them together so that you can create a design that's completely your own. There's an example here. You can see that these flowers, I'm trying to get this so that it's straight so that you can see. The flowers are showed with different leaves and with different vines. So let me show you the patterns. Whoops.
That's 64,000 combinations.
64,000 combinations, the rocket scientist just said. So this is some of the patterns that you can print out of the book. It says to photocopy them at 125%. I would assume that you could leave them this small. You could probably do it more than 125% if you wanted something really, really, really big. But there are there's a pattern for a tote bag, and there are 6 different quilts that have I say patterns, but they're not really patterns because they're more like layouts, because she will give you like this is one pattern, and what she's done, she's given you different layouts, and she showed how you can substitute one kind of flower from the next. These things are backwards, and it always confuses me. So as you can keep you busy for a long time. My favorite in there is the fiddlehead fern quilt. And you can see these fiddlehead fern, the fronds, but be able to do that in paper piecing is really fun. It's especially for those people who don't like the A word, applique. You can still do floral designs, but I can't wait to try some of these. So I suggest that you try it too. It's Petal and Stem by Amy Friend.
Oh, that was a great product review, Stevie.
Yeah, this is a fun book.
Absolutely.
We've gotten some fun submissions for product reviews, so it's very, very happy.
Yeah, I like the mix and match feature of it.
Yes.
At least with that and switch around. That's cool.
I think we're going to try and have her come and teach for 2023 Road in person.
I've already asked her.
Wonderful. All right, next week.
I proposed to her, but not on the show floor.
So
hey, you could do it in private.
So next week we will be interviewing our show manager Jillian. She'll get to sit in the hot seat here, and we'll ask her all sorts of questions of what it's like working here. Because I know a lot of people wonder, how in the heck do you do this with just two people? And don't worry, we do too. We wonder the same thing. So that's why we have lots of great people on the outside helping us. But it will be Jillian interview time. So that is next Wednesday, the 30th, at 11 a.m. Pacific. So you won't want to miss it.
2:00 for the real people time.
Oh, no, we're real people time. We'll get into that later. All right, perfect. Everyone, thank you for watching. Stay safe, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.